everybody, and welcome back to the 4-Star Podcast. I am your host, Jordan DuPont, joined, as always, by Nick DeCola, Ty Mullen, and Andrew Freeman. You can check out the podcast on Twitter at 4StarPodCHI. You can find Nick on there at NDecola21, Ty at TMMullen007, and Andrew at AJFreeman25. We are going to jump right into it this week because I have a hunch this is going to be a longer episode. We've got a lot of Cubs stuff to go over. We got trade deadline to talk about, and we got Bears training camp that just opened up. I think all of us are in a pretty good mood after this past week.
Oh, yeah.
Cubs went on an 8-game win streak. It did get snapped in the finale against the Cardinals, but swept the White Sox, took 3 out of 4 against the Cardinals. And everything we've been prophesizing and hoping for has come true. The Cubs are, in fact, buyers. Cody Bellinger and Marcus Stroman are not going anywhere. We're, I think, 3.5 or 4 games out of first in the division, and we're only another half game behind that in the wild card. Things are trending up. So, without any more delay, who wants to dig in and start dissecting this a little bit?
Oh. Well, we should talk the trades that happened since the Cubs are buyers.
We can start there.
It just happened a couple hours ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
As of this recording.
Correct.
Kyle Hendricks is no longer the last remaining Cub from 2016.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. The Cubs did make a deal for Jeimer Candelario with the Nationals. Jeimer, I forget who we dealt him for, but I know we dealt him at the trade deadline in 2016 to make that push.
It was for, I just saw this tweet. It was for Justin Wilson and one other player whose name I don't remember, but Justin Wilson and one other guy was who we traded for. And to get him back for the rental, we traded, again, the names escape me. I'm looking it up right now, but it was our 14th and 16th prospects. So
not even top 10. I'm not even okay with this.
Yeah,
I'm so okay with this.
He fills a position of need, corner infield. He's a very good player. It's something we definitely need.
Switch hitter.
Switch hitter. Don't have to play Trey Mancini every day, or at least
don't have to. Okay, let's see all the people that we can get rid of here that we don't like. Mancini. Madrigal has been playing pretty well, but not going to see him as much. Patrick Wisdom's sub 200 batting average is not going to come up as much. I heard on the broadcast because I was watching Cubs Reds before we started recording here. I think they're in the 6th inning right now.
I'm watching it right now. They're in the 7th inning.
There we go.
I got the big TV right in front of me, man.
They were saying, Miguel Amaya might go down. If Miguel Amaya goes back to AAA, I will buy it because his bat is much more needed than Tucker Barnhart's. But
or Mancini's or Patrick Wisdom at this point. Like you said on the broadcast, they're mentioning it, JD and Boog were mentioning it, and they don't know who's going to go down. I'm curious to see. There was an open spot.
There was an open spot on the 40 man. They sent down, was it?
Right, but I'm saying 27. Who's going to be on the Major League roster? My guess is that they'd be more inclined to send down or DFA Mancini before Wisdom. That's my guess.
Does Wisdom still have options at this point?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. They could.
No, I doubt Wisdom has any options, but at least like you got the home run aspect. He's slugging. Mancini's only hit 4 home runs this year.
Yeah, I'd rather take the power bet. Because like I said, Candelario can play first base. His outs above average is very just average at first. He's actually had an up year at third this year. He's typically been a bad defender at third, but I mentioned before and I'll mention it again. Well, I love third base. Third base is my favorite position, and I love good defensive third baseman. I'll take a hitter over defense any day at third base. I don't really care. So on that note, Jeimer Candelario, and I know we are not fans of the WAR statistic. However, he does lead the third baseman. I did.
Does lead all NL third basemen in WAR. So,
and that's not for nothing. That's not for nothing.
It's still a stat that he is first place in. Even if it's a little bit of a fluky stat, he still, I think it was by a pretty wide margin too. I want to say he was at 3.7 and second was at 2.9 or something.
He was at 3.1.
Got it.
But still, no, yeah, it's not for nothing. And while we meme the WAR stat, that's still he's added value to the Nationals. He came there from Detroit, or no, Yeah, he's like on the
Detroit.
Nationals,
Yep.
then he was on Detroit, then went back. Rental bat, but that's fine. I like it, man. I am.
Well, I'm sure he was only on a 1-year flyer with Washington. I'm sure that it'd be a great trade and extend candidate right there.
Yeah. I mean, because he's not even going to charge much. Like, he's not going to cost much. He's like a 757 OPS career guy or whatever.
He's only 29.
Yeah.
737, 29. His offensive numbers are up this year. His defensive numbers are up this year. I mean, you know, like his analytics are kind of meh, but so are Cody Bellinger's. Like, whatever. Like, if he can help us make a push, by all means, come on down.
Yeah, I don't think he's a huge difference maker in the grand scheme of things, but he's better than what you're getting.
I think that's why he is a big difference maker, because what we've been getting is way like, even if he plays average baseball, just like, you know, 100 WRC plus baseball the whole rest of the year, that is still a marked improvement over Madrigal, over Mancini, over Wisdom.
I guess I should I guess it doesn't raise the ceiling of the group all that much, but the floor is a lot higher than because you're not having that weight spot.
And with I mean, Madrigal's been playing so well since he came back. Like he's been a hitting machine. That's the Nick Madrigal that I thought we were gonna get when we got him from the White Sox. I mean, really, I could definitely see. Honestly, like I do just would rather that Barnhart goes and then the battery combination is Gomes and Maya, because Amaya is gonna lose at bats, because then you can just have Madrigal at third, Cody at, like against righties. You can have Madrigal at third, Cody at first, Tauchman in center. Amaya and Gomes rotate, and then Candelario can rotate in and out and DH and all that stuff. And Morel, like, I don't know. It's exciting. It's good. I think it's a good piece. We need corner infield. We'll see.
Yeah, now
we'll see what happens.
Now we're kind of where we thought we'd be at the beginning of the year with, you know, instead of getting frustrated with lineup decisions like, oh my God, why is this guy in the lineup? It's now become, just with the addition of one guy, how do we get all of our good players at bats? Because if you've got Candelario playing first or third, where's Madrigal play? Where does Morel play? You know, another notable move, and I know this is a month out from having to consider this, but PCA just got called up to AAA today. I'm sure that's, as long as he does well in AAA, I am sure he is getting that extra roster spot come September. So we're in a good position. I would much rather have the problem of how do we get our guys at bats versus how do we keep guys from getting at bats, you know? So
100%.
I'm very happy with this move. I think it was a great one. We didn't give up any crazy, they're top 20 prospects. They're not top 10 prospects. You know, these aren't guys that are going to be hitting the bigs anytime soon, and they're still kind of lottery tickets.
Important to note. Okay, so the two prospects were DJ Hers and Kevin Made, Cubs 16th and 14th prospect, like I mentioned earlier. They're also both Rule 5 draft eligible. So that was another reason for the Cubs to get rid of them, because they could have just lost them for nothing in the Rule 5 draft. So, again,
can you clarify the Rule 5?
Yeah, so to keep things pretty simple, essentially the Rule 5 draft is there to keep farm systems from like storing a bunch of top prospects. So like if a player is Rule 5 eligible, then any team can draft that player and take that player, but they have to keep that player on the 40-man roster or they lose the rights to him. That's it's a lot more complicated than that, and there's other rules and considerations, but in short, that's what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, baseball is ridiculous sometimes. With like, every sport is their weird caveats, but yeah.
Well, it's just meant to keep guys.
For sure.
Guys that are worth, worth a roster spot. Like, have them get that opportunity at the major league level rather than just stay stuck in a minor league system that they have no way to get out of.
Good example. I'm going to segue here a little bit. Good example of somebody that's getting stuck in the minor league system. We just traded away Nelson Velasquez for Jose Cuas to the Royals.
I have no idea if that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah,
that's how they pronounce it on the broadcast, so that's what I'm going with.
All right, that works.
He's a reliever, kind of middle of the road, still has some minor league options available. I think they said he's got like a 4.5 ERA so far this year, so not great. Been pitching better of late.
And actually, his expected ERA is 5.07, which means that he's been getting lucky. And like all of his numbers are kind of, he's 29 in his second season. I don't know. I was because I was looking up his baseball savant. His sinker has way more movement than league average does, and like all of his pitches have more movement than league average does. And I don't know how much Tommy Hotovy talks to Jed about pitching and stuff like that, but I don't know if he does. I feel like he sees a guy, because as we've seen, Hotovy's unlocked the key to unlock the door to a lot of guys. I think he saw this guy and was like, dude, you give me this guy with this much movement, I'll get you a solid middle bullpen guy that can come in and eat up innings or take some stressful innings away. And so if Hotovy likes him, or if they know the plan, because to trade away Velasquez, I mean, I don't know, with PCA, I guess
he wasn't going to get any playing time.
Yeah. So
we've got a stacked outfield right now.
Yeah. So a couple points. First on Kuas. That's how you say it, Kuas?
We'll just go with that.
Kuas. So on Kuas, on his baseball savant page, the one thing that sticks out is that he strikes out a lot of guys, gets a lot of swings and misses. So I think, someone in the Cubs pitching lab, they think they can get something out of him, have him be a serviceable reliever. I think the fact that they are willing to deal Nelson Velasquez is also interesting to me for a couple of reasons. I think it's a pretty aggressive move, so they think Kuas can probably help this year, but also looking ahead, the fact that they didn't deal Cody Bellinger and the PCA moved up to AAA. Now, I don't think PCA is going to come up this year unless he absolutely lights up AAA, which I don't.
Which ETA is next year.
Yeah. Which it wouldn't surprise me if he lit up AAA and just came up, but I think it's a lot more. I think it's a lot more likely that we see him. I think he makes the team out of camp in 2024, honestly, but I think with that development happening, maybe they're confident re-signing Cody Bellinger. And there's just, again, with Seiya signed through 2027, I think, Happ signed for another couple of years. There's just no room.
There's no outfield spots.
Honestly, I'm kind of curious with the PCA thing. Do we try to shop Seiya? Seiya or Ian at this point? I don't know. Obviously, the prospect is a bit different. It's a bit different. I get it. Cody, we don't know. I'm curious. I'm excited. It's a good problem to have. Finally, it seems like the ball's in Jed's court for good reasons.
Yeah. This is going to be a take that's looking a ways out. I don't want to deal Seiya. And the main reason I don't want to deal Seiya is because there have been reports coming out in the last few days that not only are the Ricketts willing to spend on Shohei, there's another report that came out today. I want to say it was Jesse Rogers. I know I put it in our chat earlier, but I can't remember. Somebody on ESPN 1000 saying that the 3 most likely landing spots for Shohei are the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Cubs. And Seiya,
3 biggest markets. How predictable?
Yeah,
but not the White Sox.
The White Sox aren't a big market team.
Yeah,
and not the Mets. However, the Shohei and Seiya are actually friends. They talk. I want to keep Seiya. If all that Seiya is good for is bringing Shohei Ohtani to the Cubs, so be it.
Where's the money? Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I was saying also, you may not even need to do that. Even if you re-sign Bellinger, Bellinger can play first. You have a DH spot. You have your outfield set. You don't need to trade.
Have you seen some of Cody's plays at first base? Oh my God, it's so nice.
Man, he is something else.
I know that the Dodgers moved to the outfield because they were worried about him getting hurt, but man, shoot.
He's an athlete.
Yeah. No, and I think, I don't know, maybe it's for the worst, but I really think Seiya can just be so good, man. Even if it's just 20 points higher in all of his stats, I don't know, he is a major league talent.
If we had robo umps, they probably
for real, literally his on base percentage would be Soto's, man.
The defense in right field this year has been incredible. Yeah, it really has.
Seiya just struck out, but yeah.
But no, some of the defensive plays he's made in right, and again, Wrigley is not an easy field to play right in because you have the weird kind of cutout in actual right, whereas right center is actually shallower. So it's and all the wind. It's a funky place to play outfield, and he has made some incredible plays. So I am 100% on the Seiya hype train. I hope he can, start getting the bat turned back around a little bit. But yeah, we're entering some uncharted territory that we really haven't been in since we had that 2016 team, where we have too much talent to fill the number of roster spots, and I am so okay with it.
Dare I say, and I know I don't want to, knock on wood. I got my coffee table right here, but it feels like 2015 a bit already. Like, it's just like we're like guys are just coming up. We're not even. I mean, I guess 2015 had a bit more rookie talent, but still, like, just we're turning this corner, and it's like, hey, like we're here, man. We're back in it. So
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely more positive vibe.
I don't know. Cubs have scored the most runs in baseball in July.
Like somewhere between 2014 and 2015. If there was like a middle season where there was more of a stepping stone, then
we did kind of take it was a substantial jump.
We won
to 2015. It was a huge jump.
98 games in 2015.
Right, but wasn't most of that after the All-Star break? Like I remember us being not that impressive at the All-Star break in 2015 either.
I don't remember. I thought we were keeping pace.
Hang on, I got a device, so I'll look at it.
But yeah, Cubs have been very impressive. Like I mentioned, number one scoring offense in baseball in the month of July. Cody Bellinger is still the best hitter in baseball in the month of July. Jameson Taillon has the sixth best ERA in the National League in the month of July, so he's turning it around. The only negative thing that we really can cover is Marcus Stroman has been looking very shaky since we got back from London. And Jameson Taillon turning it around is great, but if Marcus Stroman has kind of, him and Taillon have flipped spots, it really is a net neutral. It doesn't really do us much good. So I'm hoping Stroh can turn it back around.
Trey Mancini broke him with it's basically from that moment. So I have this tweet up here. So Marcus Stroman had a 2.28 ERA on the season going into the London start. Since that start, which doesn't include the night which he gave up 6, right?
Today?
He gave up 6 today?
Yes.
Yeah. Does not include
in 3 innings.
6 and 3 innings. So not including that, since the London start, he's had an ERA of 8, a whip of 1.85, and that's over 6 starts, 27 innings. Not great. Not very good.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a bad thought, but it was kind of funny thought. I was like, well, if he does kind of suck, is that he'll probably be more inclined just to take his player option, and then we know we have him for another year rather than trying to get a contract.
That's true.
I mean,
Cubs were 47
player options exist.
Yeah, the Cubs were 47-40 in 2015.
You can't trade Marcus Stroman if he has no value.
That's true. That's right.
Yeah. Andrew, say what you said again. I heard it, but I know it was kind of overshadowed.
Yeah, I mean, he's 32 years old, so I mean, for the lifespan of an athlete, getting up there.
He's basically in a nursing home.
I
wouldn't quite go that far yet, but he's getting close there.
I mean, you wonder when he's going to hit the wall, basically, of when, or the cliff, so to speak, of when it all.
Right. Well, at least,
like that for
the thing that is going for him is much like Kyle Hendricks, is that like he's a sinker baller, and so as long as you can just locate your pitches and you got good movement, like the idea is that you can go pretty okay in your career. I'm
almost wondering if he's got something like with a hot spot on his finger or something with his wrist or his elbow that's not like bad enough to take him out and sit him to put him on the IL, because it's such a marked shift from where he was earlier in the year, where he's having some of these command issues. I know I think they said a couple of the early hits today were because his cutter just kind of didn't cut.
Yeah,
just hung in the middle of the plate.
And the sinker is just hanging in the middle too. I don't know. I'm not a pitching coach. My guess is that would be more mechanical when if you're a sinker baller and everything's just kind of high. But I'm not a pitching coach, so whatever.
Again, from the age standpoint, I mean, it's a long 162 game season. You wonder if the arm's starting to get a little tired, in the middle of the season, and that might be causing a little bit of issues there.
My arm gets tired after one day of softball.
Yes, there's Ty comparing his rec league softball skills to major league pitchers.
He throws 20 pitches and needs an ice bath.
Yeah.
Take me out, Skip. I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I made one throw from right field, and I was like...
And there goes my rotator cuff.
All right. Well, anything else we want to take a look at before we move on here?
Go get Bednar.
Go get Bednar.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple more trade deadline things to talk about. One of the rumors has been David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates that we would like to make a move for. We could obviously we need bullpen help. That's been kind of a consistent thing all year. And I've heard some rumors coming out of Seattle that Teoscar Hernandez and Ty France, not TJ, Ty France would also be available at first. I don't know if you guys want to unpack that at all or just kind of leave it out in the ether.
Teoscar's having a down year. His OPS is below 700. So like, and we have 3 outfielders with OPSs above 700.
Yeah, I just want Bednar. I mean, the only thing that would concern me is whoever we trade the Pirates just tortures the Cubs for the next 15 years. But they're the Pirates. That's a chance I'm willing to take. Let's get Bednar.
Yeah, let's get Bednar. And I mean, because honestly, somebody mentioned this on Twitter the other day. I don't know who, but and they are true, especially with the Cubs being like, "Oh no, actually, we're gonna buy." The trade market kind of got boring. Like the Mets, they have Verlander and Scherzer. Like Scherzer went to the Rangers, for those who don't know, and Verlander supposedly might be going to the Dodgers. But that's in the works. But anyways, like apart from that, it's like we got the best rental bat, really. You know, we already took care of business. And the Cardinals said Arenado's off the talks, which I mean, Arenado would have been expensive anyways. So the Cardinals said they want to keep him and Goldschmidt to build, which is kind of crazy. You're going to build off of 2 32-year-olds or 32 and a 34-year-old, but whatever. That's Cardinal way, baby. We're going to talk about that later.
Oh yeah.
So
I cannot wait for that part.
Yeah. So I think we've been talking about the Cubs for a good 20 minutes, and we got the Bears to talk about. So
yeah, we do.
Actually got quite.
All right. Well,
Bears.
I'll wrap up the Cubs here with their upcoming schedule. We are in the middle of a 4-game series against the Reds. Currently down 6-4 in the top of the 8th. So hopefully we can have another miracle comeback here.
Yeah,
and then to wrap up
in the bottom of the 7th, by the way, we had then on 1st and 2nd. Did nothing.
We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. Yeah, we had 3 straight outs.
To wrap up the week, we host the Braves for a 3-game series, and we're currently in the middle of a 16-day stretch without a day off. So it's 2 really hot teams at kind of a rough part in the schedule, but it should soften up a bit after that so that we can make a push coming in the second half here. So with all that being
and even with that, sorry, and then we move on. Like these are good teams, and beating them is important though. Like you say, like, oh, then the schedule soften up. Well, still, if you want to be a buyer and you want to be a contender, you got to beat them. So
we got to see what happens when Jamer actually puts on a Cubs uniform again and starts playing. I think that'll kind of show us where we're truly at. So with all that being said, I think it's time to move on to the Bears. Andrew actually got to witness a day of training camp and again has some Bears connections. So I'll kind of let him take the floor here, go over what he's been seeing and hearing and see what we can expect from our beloved monsters of the Midway.
Yeah, I mean, do we want to go over training camp first, or do we want to cover the Komet extension first? What are we thinking?
Do you want to fight now or later? That's really the question.
Yeah, let's fight later. I want to talk about good stuff.
Okay. So training camp started this past week. So I was able to go last Wednesday to practice. I'm planning on going tomorrow and Wednesday as well. So hopefully I'll have a little bit more next week to talk about. But yeah, only the one practice. It was their second practice of camp. And, from the day I was there, not a ton to really report on because it was a pretty relaxed day. It's a lot of 7-on-7, a lot of, install, stuff that isn't too exciting, but a couple of things that really stood out. and it's been the talk of camp throughout the entire offseason period, but the Justin Fields DJ Moore connection, it is real, and it is almost automatic, it seems like at times, because the practice I was at, it was a pretty sloppy day from the offense as a whole. There are a lot of drops from receivers. The defense was actually doing a pretty good job of reading Justin Fields' eyes and getting some near interceptions throughout the day and stuff. But it seems like whenever they were in 7-on-7 or 11-on-11s or whatever, whenever Justin Fields needed to make a play and he had a couple bad reps, it was just to do more somewhere, and more will always catch it. So that's probably the most exciting thing for Bears fans, I guess, is that Justin Fields, DJ, that's legit. Like, they excited to see that duo work because they work really well together. There's clearly a chemistry there. It's really smooth. It's a really smooth operation from that standpoint. Really, I think the offense in general has been a lot stronger. And this goes from what I saw and different reports I've been seeing from different days in camp. But the offense looks a lot stronger than it did last year, which is a huge in the right direction, because last year the offense was not great in camp last year, even though Bears fans tried to fight me on that whenever I would report that and be like, oh, you're just hating. It's just like, no, I'm reporting what I'm seeing at practice, guys. Like, you can live in your reality or live in your fantasy land. But, yeah, the offense looks a lot smoother this year from what I'm noticing so far.
I'm so stoked, and I'm going to take my 180 to talk about how stoked I am. But getting into a little bit more of the analytic side here, I think the fact that we have a true number one wide receiver instead of a number 2A playing number one, we have a true number two. Darnell Mooney has all that stress taken off of him of trying to be a true number one, which don't get me wrong. I love Darnell Mooney. He's a great receiver. He's not a true number one. I'm going to get off of that high horse. I know I'd been on it in the past. We have a true number one, a true number two. Chase Claypool, I think, could be a borderline. He's like a 2B, but he gets to play 3.
Yeah, well, he should be an X.
I mean,
he's supposed to be your isolated tall guy, and that's what he's meant to do. And then and then he got Darnell in the slot, which is where he should be. I mean, we have
an offense set up to be an actual NFL offense and not just run the rock
up the middle.
God, no more ISO. So I'm just very excited, and from what I've been seeing, and I know Bears Twitter can be overly optimistic, but from what I've been seeing, there's been a lot of positives coming out of camp.
I remember out of camp. Yeah, I remember out of camp last year, like the initial reports were like, oh, the defense had a good day. Oh, the offense is clunky. They're learning it. And I think it's a really good sign that, even there's still going to be some pains in the offense, I'm sure. Not everything's going to be perfect, but I think at the very least, like, the offense has gotten off to a good start, and I think just that on its own is encouraging.
Year 2 in the same system, it matters, and obviously adding all the talent that we did, it matters. I did see a couple things, Andrew. I don't know if you want to elaborate. Today,
do you have any questions, by the way?
Today, again, from Twitter reporters, because people that get to be there, it seemed like it wasn't too great of a day for the offense, but seemed like there's some miscues, some fumbles, some interceptions today, but still, hey, like, the defense is there too. They're still pros.
They get paid too,
and it is a good defense.
And apart from the defensive line,
we're working on that.
Yeah,
and they also don't have pads on. They also don't have pads.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
That's a key thing to say here. There's no pads, so the run blocking is definitely not going to be. It's not translatable.
The pads go on tomorrow, I think.
Oh, okay.
Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday? Okay.
Yeah.
That's more recent, right? For the pros to not do pads.
It was negotiated into a CBA 1 or 2 CBAs ago.
God, I remember in July in high school. That was a different animal. Yeah, that was a different animal, man. Jeez.
2-a-day pad practices. Oh,
man. You're like sitting at lunch, like crying, like it's so hot out here. Why am I doing this? Oh my God.
Side tangent. Speaking of 2-a-days in high school, we had 1 2-a-day where it was pouring, raining the entire day, and we decided to do both practices outside the locker room after both practices was just a cesspool. It smelled like.
We had one practice where we did it inside in a gym with pads. It was like 2-hand touch with pads, so all the linemen were going full speed. Oh my god!
Hey, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's ever going to compare to the smell of a wrestling practice with the doors closed and the heat turned up.
Hey, I did that too. I did that too.
I know you did. I know you did, which is why you can sympathize and know that I'm right. But oh man,
I don't know.
But yeah, speaking of, I have a couple notes here though. Speaking of the defense, the cornerback position is going to be something to watch. Not only is Kyler Gordon, he's playing full-time slot right now, so he's not even getting a ton of reps on the outside. All the outside reps for the first team are going to obviously Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, who was a second-round pick for the Bears. But interestingly, Terrell Smith, a fifth-round pick, has been getting a lot of first-team snaps. If anything, he's been getting just as many, if not more, first-team snaps than Stevenson in practice. So that was something that I noticed, along with Zach Pearson, who's my publisher at the Bear Report. So that's something that we kind of noticed, is that Smith is getting he's getting worked in quite a bit. So there's a bit of the Bears aren't willing to admit it right now, but it's the same thing that happened with like Braxton Jones last year, where they put him in at first team pretty early on, and they're like, oh, well, we're just trying to get guys snaps. It's like, no, you're putting him at first team for a reason. They're like, actions speak louder than words. So they obviously see something in Smith, and he's been getting work at safety as well, because his safety depth is not great for the Bears right now. So, we'll see what happens when we get to the game stuff, but the Bears might have a find there in the 5th round with Terrell Smith. And then a couple other notes I had is, we had the first string offensive line. They've been trying to figure out the second team offensive line a little bit. Alex Leatherwood, he's not playing any tackle. He's playing just guard, which is really good for Justin Fields' health, because Alex Leatherwood cannot play tackle whatsoever in the NFL. And I'm not even sure if he can play guard either, but he's better at guard.
Definitely can't play tackle.
Definitely cannot play tackle. Like, I had to watch his film last year at tackle, and it made me want to puke every single snap.
Real quick, I want to interject. The reason I said thank you, Raiders, is I think the Raiders had a string of like 3 first-round draft picks that did not pan out within 2 years, and Alex Leatherwood was one of them.
Not only did they not pan out, they were like constantly like overdrafted for where they were. Because I remember Leatherwood was like projected to go like in the middle 2nd round or something like that, and they took him at 17. If I remember right, 17.
Yep.
God, I got a good
John Gruden, baby.
And I tell you,
he's a Gruden grinder.
So I'll only show you my favorite place: Pioneer 2 Y Banana.
Let's go to Hooters and have a couple of Coronas.
Are we allowed to make those jokes now after he's been like blackballed from the NFL? Or
well, he worked with the Saints because Carr went there, so he's been working with the Saints to get. I don't know if the Saints are like installing more West Coast for Carr's sake or whatever, but yeah, he's been working with them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I'm not sure if their situation is there, but yeah, I mean, a couple other things, I guess. Like, it's tough to say. There's no pads on. I'll say this: Tremaine Edmonds, big, fast, definitely apparent in person. And by the way, it always amazes me every single year going off to these practices, but like, these guys are freaking like huge in person. Like, I was right in front of, like, Chase Claypool was like doing some release stuff, working on his release packages right in front of me at practice. And the dude just, I mean, he's like 6'4", like 240 pounds. Dude just dwarfs me. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'2".
I look at Andrew and I'm like, wow, that's a big guy.
Yeah, and I look small compared to these guys. Cole Kmet is freaking huge. And he doesn't look like it all the time on TV, but in person, and that's not even to mention the offensive lineman, like Darnell Wright. All those guys are just. Dexter is a massive human being. So,
I did want to ask. I don't know if you were about to transition into that, but I've been hearing good things about Dexter and his work ethic. Have you?
Yeah, I mean,
did that show up at all? Did you?
It's tough to say. It's always tough to kind of judge defensive linemen at this stage of things. Like, you'll only notice them when they make a good play. You'll never notice when they make a bad play. It's the same for offensive linemen. A lot of the focus right now is on the passing game stuff. So it sounds like though he's having a good camp. So that's an encouraging thing, which I wasn't the biggest Dexter guy when he was coming out of Florida. So that's an encouraging thing. to say the least. A couple things to note for the defensive line, though. Zach Pickens, their 3rd-round pick, he's currently like buried on the 3rd string right now, so he's not getting a ton of stuff. They have some guy named Donovan Jeter getting 2nd-team reps ahead of him, and I have no idea who that guy was before camp. So that kind of tells you where Zach Pickens is at in terms of the other defensive tackle. If you want to get some insight on Darnell Wright, I think he looks the part in terms of being that big, burly dude. But I think we are seeing that there is going to be a bit of there's no pads, so keep that in mind. But there is going to be a bit of a learning curve here. He did have some. I did notice a couple of reps where he was getting beat in practice, which again, no pads. He's a rookie, but
it's understandable.
Yes.
This point.
And I think a lot of Bears fans have in their mind that Brent's going to step in and be this elite right tackle right away. And I think they're getting really way too ahead of themselves, because most rookie tackles suck. It doesn't matter. Seriously, most you look at Andrew Thomas.
I know.
He's one of the best left tackles in football right now. He was abysmal as a rookie, and now he's in his 3rd year, 4th year, whatever, and he's the best one of the 2 or 3 best left tackles in football. These guys take a while to get there. And I think a lot of Bears fans have their mind that he's going to be this beast out there. And it's just it's not going to happen early, guys.
No, it makes sense. There's a big learning curve. NFL offenses, I'm sure, are more complex. The
guys you're going up against are not kids.
Yeah, right.
You're going up against grown men.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to rework his pass pro technique too. He's going to have to rework his pass pro technique, because Tennessee, they did a lot of short set stuff. So he wasn't asked to do a lot of vertical kick slides out of his stance. And, in the NFL, in order to combat some of the speed rushers in the NFL, he's going to have to learn how to get depth in the slide. And he didn't really do that at Tennessee. So even though pass pro is the strength of his game, it wasn't something that he was doing like you typically see in the NFL. So it's going to be a learning curve.
I'm just hoping.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just hoping. I am a huge Tevin Jenkins fan, and I am really hoping that him and Darnell Wright can just solidify positions on this offensive line and just be freaking monsters. Because when they're on, when Tevin is on, it is fun to watch. I mean, he just runs people over, and having 2 guys like that on your offensive line, I think it's going to set up Justin Fields to feel a lot safer than he did last year if those guys can put it together.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this one thing before we get to you, Nick. I'll say this: I don't know if the pass pro is going to be great again this year. It's probably not going to be very good. Just pointing that out there right now. And that's another thing I think we should probably set the expectations there, is that the pass pro is not the strength of this offensive line still. The run blocking is going to be very good again. Pass pro is probably years away from being, a suitable situation, probably.
Look, Bears fans, I know we all want to see them, go 17-0. I do too. But I think that really, like Andrew said, it's important to realize that's the biggest thing, man, is just, are we improving? Is Justin Fields taking that next step? That's the keys, is the defense getting better.
Everything else will figure itself out.
Yeah, because the window, unless we do make some miraculous leap this year, the window is really next season. But get ready for it to be 100%. Exciting and fun this year, because it's going to be fun, hopefully. And
we're going to win more than 3 games.
That's
what it boils.
Praise be.
Legitimately, I think with what the team has done in the offseason with the draft picks, I think we can finish somewhere in the neighborhood of 8-9, 9-8. I think that is a totally reasonable expectation for this team. And if that's where we wind up, I'm going to be happy. If we wind up getting anything more than that and can somehow make a playoff push, I'll be over the freaking moon, man. But I think 8-9, 9-8, solid right around 500 is a good step in the right direction and a fair guess for this team moving forward.
Quick sidebar: I hate odd number games. I despise that.
Yeah, it sucks so much, dude.
No, it's just the new schedule, the new game format. They had the perfect thing going for them: 32 teams, 16 games, 4 divisions, 4 teams. Now it's all
totally agree.
It's all
totally agree.
These greedy, stupid owners.
Whatever. It's for a different day, I guess. Different one.
Now the Super Bowl. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, my birthday, I guess I'm just outing my birthday on here, but my birthday is February 3rd. 2 of the best birthday presents I have ever gotten are the New York Giants kicking the crap out of the Patriots on my birthday. And that will never happen ever again. Because of the 17-game schedule, it pushes the Super Bowl back an extra week. So no more double awesome party for my birthday happening on the Super Bowl. I was so upset when I found out about that.
Boo-hoo, Jordan. Boo-hoo.
Yeah, it is boo-hoo. I'm going to go cry about it. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
That's a bit of Bears news, but I guess before we move on,
yeah, we gotta fight about this still.
I don't know if I'm going to fight about it actually, but Cole Kmet did get extended, a 4-year extension, $50 million, $32 million guaranteed, which that might be the only part we fight about, Nick. But if we look at the the structure of this deal, pretty interesting deal for the Bears. So what they did here, which I think is very smart, they increased Cole Kmet's salary this year from about $3 million to just under $5 million, and guaranteed that entire salary. They gave him an $8 million signing bonus, and basically the next 2 years are fully guaranteed. And you look at his cap hits now; he's just over $7 million for this year, so that bumped up a little bit. And then the next 4 years, he has the same exact cap hit each single year at $11.6 million. So interesting deal for Cole Kmet.
The structure.
That's the thing. Like when I first heard the news, I was ready to bitch and moan about it because I've been pretty upfront about this ever since he got drafted. I'm not the biggest Cole Kmet fan.
Can you get back into that mode? Because I came here ready to fight. Now I don't know where to put this thing.
Yeah, I mean, just more background. Like, I wasn't a big fan of him at Notre Dame. I think he's the definition of mid, and I don't think anything he does is going to change that for me. But the more I look at the structure of the deal, I don't hate it as much. I still don't like on principle, I don't like the idea of extending Cole Kmet early because it's Cole Kmet. I think he's very replaceable. But if you're going to do it, this is probably the best case scenario because it's not a ton of money. And you look at like the structure of it, again, it's a flat structure. And in terms of like the percentage of cap that works out on the new deals, like he's taking up about 4% of the cap, 4.5% in 2024. That goes down to 4% in 2025, down to 3% in 2026 because the cap is going to be escalating. So it works out well for the Bears. They can get out of it after 2025 pretty easily without any dead money, really. So I know you're ready to fight me on it, Nick, but on further inspection, I don't like it, but I don't hate it either. I think it's fine.
You just wanted to avoid the fight. You're scared. You didn't want to come at me. I do like the deal. So Andrew mentioned the cap hit. He has the 10th, just looking at 2024, because obviously this is changed and this is the year we have the best data for. He has the 10th he will have the 10th highest cap hit among tight ends. And that's not including the fact that some guys are going to get, are going to be free agents. They're going to Hawkinson, Dalton Schultz. So he's probably going to end up with like the 11th or 12th highest cap hit among tight ends. Now, is he the 11th or 12th best tight end in football? I mean, probably not. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think
like in that 16 to 20 range, I think.
But he's like within spitting distance. He's in that ballpark. It's not inconceivable to think that he could be that. Again, he's still only 24. He's gotten better every year. If you just look at his numbers last year, just his receiving numbers, he was 15th in receptions among tight ends, 13th in yards among tight ends, and tied for third in touchdowns with 7th among all tight ends. So he's still a young player. He's still improving. This deal goes through what will be his prime. So we should be getting the best years out of Cole Kmet. And it's not an insane cap hit. He's building chemistry with Justin Fields. If this offense takes off, those numbers could definitely go up. So yeah, I'm a fan of this deal. I think it's good for Cole Kmet. I think it's a solid deal for the Bears. I'm not even necessarily saying that you do this, Andrew, but I think a lot of Bears fans get annoyed anytime they see a contract because they think it's Madden and they refuse to like, they want to get like, I don't know. They want to pay Patrick Mahomes like $2 million a year, and they want, I don't even know, Jason Kelce at center for a ham sandwich, but like you can't do that. These guys are professional athletes, and sometimes that means you have to pay good players what they're worth. And I feel like this deal is what Cole Kmet is worth.
And the thing you have to point out with, especially for NFL contracts, is it's not about the biggest number in terms of like what the total number is. It's about A, the guaranteed money, and B, the structure of the money, right? Those are the two most important things. The structure, I really like for this deal. I don't necessarily love that they're giving him a ton of guaranteed money, but if you can get out of it after year two, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's if you have an easy out and giving them the guaranteed money isn't really going to affect what you do down the road. It's not your money, not your problem.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I would like to point out, in terms of properly structuring an NFL contract to not murder your salary cap, the Kansas City Chiefs made it so that they could pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million for 10 years and not completely ruin their chances at bringing in other talent. They can keep Travis Kelce. They can keep, they've been dealing their running back.
They did have to trade away Tyreek Hill, but I don't think they.
And look what that got him, a Super Bowl win.
Yeah, exactly. So the Chiefs made it so that they can pay their quarterback $500 million and still go out and win Super Bowls. So it is possible. It really is about creative structuring nowadays more than the actual dollar amount.
Right.
Wow, we're not even at Blackhawks yet.
Well, the Blackhawks one is going to be quick.
Blackhawks is going to be quick, and I did preface this episode by saying we had a lot to get to, and it was going to be a long one. So
I like the deal. Notre Dame alum. One of my 1As.
That's all you care about.
That's all I care about. He can sign on for 20 years for all I care.
He's gonna be singing the fight song when they extend Chase Claypool.
If they extend Chase Claypool,
hey, we got to see what happens this year. It's a prove it year.
We'll see.
So with that being said, I think we should probably move on to the Blackhawks again. This is going to be a little bit quicker. I'll let Nick dive in here. Unfortunately, it's not happy news.
No, it is not. It is so the only Blackhawks news that we have is that the owner Rocky Wirtz passed away on Tuesday. Past Tuesday about a week ago. I'm sorry. I lose track of the days. He passed away at age 70. He took over the team from his father who died in 2007, Bill Wirtz. And he leaves behind first of all, condolences to the Wirtz family, first and foremost. Obviously, it's difficult. He leaves behind a complicated legacy. On one hand, he took over the franchise at basically the franchise's low point. His dad was Dollar Bill Wirtz, and he was notoriously cheap, wouldn't pay players, wouldn't broadcast home games on TV. You could not watch a Blackhawks home game on TV until 2007 because Bill Wirtz didn't think it was fair to the season ticket holders. It got so bad in 2004, ESPN named the Chicago Blackhawks the worst franchise in sports. In 2004. That's not that long ago. So 3 years after that, Rocky took over. And we all know what happened after that. 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years, oversaw the dynasty, got home games back on TV, complete revitalization of the franchise, brought hockey back to Chicago in a way that they hadn't seen in decades. So all of that is good. And on the other hand, the whole Kyle Beach thing, don't need to go into that much detail. Now, the investigation did show that he had no knowledge of it when it happened. However, it still happened under his watch. He's the guy in charge. He has to be held accountable. And there was also a really bad moment in the press conference, a while after it came out. Mark Lazarus from The Athletic asked about it, and his response was, shall we say, not great. So, complicated legacy. But I think a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of lessons learned. I'll just leave it at condolences to the Wirtz family for passing to Rocky Wirtz, and rest in peace.
Yeah, it's unfortunate you got that black guy on his tenure, but when you're the top of the food chain, or you're in a position of power, in a position of responsibility, everything that happened under you, whether he knew about it or not, you're responsible for it, right? So it's one of the things where you cannot just gloss over that. That's a huge part of his time running the Blackhawks. But in terms of the positives, you're right, Nick. He completely and it's the thing. The Blackhawks, they're a huge I guess, huge franchise now in Chicago, and they're relevant in Chicago in large part because of, what he was able to do to kind of revitalize the organization, right? Like, I don't think that it was gonna. I don't think the Blackhawks would be as you go to the Blackhawks games now, like, they're buzzing still, even though like they weren't good. They haven't been good the past few years. Like, they still fill up the United Center. And I don't think that would happen if it weren't for, him running the team.
There's a decent chance we're not doing this podcast if not for what Rocky Wirtz did to revitalize his team and, bring hockey back, because that was our formative years as fans, like the Kane and Taves era. Also, just Jordan, you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say, just in reference to the United Center still buzzing. So the most fun I have ever had at a sporting event is when I was at Loyola Chicago. My big in the fraternity I was in took me to a Blackhawks game, and kind of a tradition in our, if anybody knows anything about Greek life, kind of a tradition in our Greek family was you take your little to a sporting event. And I remember the final score of that game. It was okay. I remember the Blackhawks had 6 goals. I don't remember how many Coyotes had, but man, getting to just jump and sing around and sing Chelsea Dagger 6 times, man, there's nothing like it. And I know, like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about being in the United Center and being able to sing Chelsea Dagger. So I know that, there are some other people around the league that are like, hey, it's time to move on from the Chelsea Dagger era. Screw that, man. Like, I would love for another opportunity to go to the United Center and still be able to do that. So I know it is still a buzzing place, even when we kind of have some down years.
It's kind of funny. Kind of a weird sidebar. My wife plays the actual Chelsea Dagger song a lot. Like, whenever she's driving, she turns the music, and I always look over like, because she's not really a hockey person. She likes one of the AHL teams from San Diego, and she kind of likes the Kings. But I'm like, oh, you know this one.
I will say there's one kind of morbid, interesting parallel. So I mentioned that Rocky's father, Bill, former owner of the Blackhawks, died in 2007. That was the year the Blackhawks drafted Patrick Kane with the #1 overall pick. And this year they drafted Connor Bedard with the #1 overall pick. So Danny Wirtz, if you're listening to this, you better hope the Hawks aren't picking #1.
If we never pick #1 again, he will live forever.
That's right.
It's kind of fitting, though, that his tenure starts with the drafting of Patrick Kane, their greatest player in Blackhawks history, and then it ends with Connor Bedard, who you kind of hope is, getting the torch passed to him. So kind of poetic in a way.
Well, with that being said, I think we can move on here. Nothing really to cover with the Bulls, so we're going to skip over that. Nothing in the SWFU segment this week. Again, if you're listening and you notice that we misspoke or said some falsehood, feel free to comment or send us an email. Comment on the YouTube, send us an email on our page. So now we will move into our 4 stars of the week. And Tig, I will let you lead off. No pun intended. Actually, big pun intended.
Yeah. So our first star of the week goes to Jameson Taillon. You all know, if you've been listening to the show, you know how much I was kind of anti-Taillon. But hey, and I've since mentioned how he's really improved. I think in his last, what's the stat? Like in his last some odd starts, it's been like a 1.73 ERA or something like that. Like,
I want to say 6 starts.
Yeah, he's totally turned a corner, and that's really important when we're trying to make a playoff push. Now we just need Stroman to find his form again. But I said it in one of our group chats, and I do mean it. Right now, his ERA after a couple days ago against the Cardinals, his ERA is 5.46. If by some miracle the man who had over an 8 ERA finishes this year under an ERA of 4, I'm buying his jersey. All right. So Jameson Taillon, this star goes to you. Nick has the receipts.
I do have the receipts. Now you all have the
receipts. Yeah. So I'm buying his jersey if he finishes this year under 4 ERA. But other than that, though, Jameson Taillon, keep it up, man. You get the star of the week.
All right, Nick, I'll turn it over to you for our second start of the week.
I will tell all of you the second star right now, and in 50 years, I will tell my grandkids about the summer of Mike Talkman, the pride of Palatine, the Bambino of the Burbs, the king of the Kennedy. Mike Talkman is unbelievable. Not only has he just been
Bradley grad,
Mike Talkman. Yeah, he's been great coming up, but the reason he gets a star this week is on Friday in the game against the Cardinals, he robbed Alec Burleson of a walk-off home run for a game-saving, potentially season-saving robbery of a home run. I haven't been that excited about the end of a regular season Cubs game in a really long time. I was watching it edge of my seat, and it's just, if that play sends the Cubs on a historic run and, we make a playoff run, I will be telling my grandkids about the summer of Mike Talkman, and I'm sure you all will too.
Yeah. Some people mentioned jumping out of their seat, and I haven't done that in a long time. And I recently moved, as some of you may know, and I finally got my the living room's taking shape, and I was in the couch. This is the day of. I just got all my stuff and just watching that. I literally hopped out of the couch, got feet in the air, yeah, and just screaming. My poor neighbors all heard it probably. I didn't care because it was awesome. So it was a great moment.
Well, moving on, this is going to be a little bit funky. Our third star of the week does not go to a Chicago sports player. However, this did occur during the Cubs-Cardinals series. Miles Mikolas, you get our third star of the week for getting yourself ejected for beating Ian Happ after he accidentally hit Wilson Contreras, a former teammate, on his backswing. You really think it was on purpose if those guys spent, 4 or 5 years on the same team in the same clubhouse traveling together? No. But instead, the Cardinal way has to take precedence. Oh, the good old Cardinal way. Old school, hard-nosed baseball. Well, you get your ass ejected and you get your manager suspended for a game. So Miles Mikolas for getting ejected in the beginning of the ball game and allowing the Cubs to beat up on your bullpen. Third star of the week goes to you, buddy. Couldn't be more proud.
Dumbass.
Man, I had such a good rant, and you just had to punctuate it with the most sarcastic dumbass. Oh man, I was proud of that.
That wasn't totally sarcastic. That was genuine. He is a genuine dumbass.
Okay, a Red Foreman-esque dumbass. How's that? Is that a little more fair?
Fine.
Oh man.
All right, first star of the week, Andrew.
No, our final star of the week is Darnell Wright, who early killed his conditioning. And not only every NFL player, they have to do conditioning tests, pass a physical, whatever, has been in a training camp. Darnell Wright, not only did he crush it for the offensive line conditioning test, he did so well that he would have passed for the wide receiver conditioning test, because guess what? Darnell Wright did a true rookie mistake, not only mistaking his conditioning test, he mistaked his conditioning test for the wide receiver conditioning test. So he did all his work to get in shape to do the wide receiver conditioning test, not knowing that was not what he had to do. So he completely overdid the assignment there. He did way too much than he should have. But you know what? Good for Darnell Wright, man. The guy worked his butt off to get in shape. And apparently Ryan Poles, general manager, sent him he texted all the rookies gifts if they did well their conditioning tests. And so I guess he sent some kind of weird text to Darnell Wright. So, but yeah, congrats to the rookie, man, putting in the work already, just being an overachiever.
Task failed successfully.
Dude dropped 15 pounds in the offseason. Dropped 15 pounds.
It's 320 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big boy, but he busted his ass in the offseason because he trained for the wrong conditioning test.
The wrong conditioning test, but it'll pay off in the 17-game season. So shout out to him.
All right, well, we're going to move on to the complete 180 here. Andrew, I know we normally have you go first, but your internet's being a little fluky, and no offense, but I don't want to listen to you cutting in and out for 3 minutes. So I'll go first to if you want to mess with your internet a little bit, see if we can bring that back. We'll keep moving you back until we can get you back. So with that being said, we'll move on to our fan favorite complete 180 segment, and I will lead it off. If you'll notice, we are still a little bit of a ways away from football season. But I busted out my Bears jersey, got my GSH on the sleeve, because I cannot freaking wait for football season. I am so pumped this year. I don't know if you could tell when we were kind of going over the training camp stuff, but I really do have a pretty positive outlook. Last year was freaking rough for all of us. I think that much goes without saying. But I saw a clip. I can't remember which ESPN show Dan Orlovsky's on. And I know you can say what you want about Dan Orlovsky. I know he's kind of hit or miss. But he pulled up some statistics for second-year quarterbacks in a Mike Shanahan-style offense. God, I can't remember the names that he threw out. But, you know, plenty of guys have done this. But on average, and this is average, 34 touchdown passes, I think just over 4,000 passing yards. Just crazy, crazy statistics in the second year in this style of offense that we run with Luke Getsy. And you couple, so, you know, completely disregard the fact that we added offensive weapons finally. Justin Fields is, for the first time in his career, in the second year of a scheme because he's had so many different coaching changes and all of this. We finally have some stability. We're finally building up the offensive line. We finally got him offensive weapons. Oh, and not to mention, we went out and got TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. Got to make sure I get the last names right because they're similar. But so we got good linebackers again. We've been drafting well in our secondary. Eddie Jackson's feeling himself. All we got to do is go out and get a strong pass rusher, which I keep telling you, in polls I trust. So I am super amped for this football season. I really do think we can have a winning record, even if it is just 9-8. I will totally consider that a win. There's all kinds of drama going on with the Lions in their training camp with suspensions and injuries. The Vikings still have Kirk Cousins under center. And despite the fact that I've been watching quarterback and hate the fact that I really do, that show has made me like Kirk Cousins and I hate myself for it. But he's still Kirk Cousins. He's still primetime Kirk. He still can't perform in the playoffs. So I think, like we were saying, you know, this year is going to be a building year, but I really do have some hope for the future, and I cannot wait. We are less than 40 days from opening day in the NFL, and I cannot wait. So,
right there with you.
Amen.
All right.
So you want me to go
still
now?
freezing up. Your audio is better. Yeah.
let's
run it.
yeah.
Let's
Go.
Okay. So for my 180, I want to talk about a movie that Nick and I just went and saw this past week, and that was Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, which incredible movie. I think both Nick and I remember after we were leaving the movie theater, we were just speechless because it was just that good. But you know, the entire Oppenheimer experience, it got me to looking into Nolan's filmography a little bit more to kind of, you know, recaps the movies done in the past, and it got me watching some of his old movies. And so for my 180, I wanted to do a little bit of a tier list of Christopher Nolan's movies. Now, a little bit of a caveat: I have not seen all of Nolan's movies. I have not seen Following. I haven't seen Tenet. And I have not seen Insomnia, so I got to check those out. I've heard some really good things about Insomnia. Mixed things about Tenet and Following. I know it's kind of like Nolan's first low-budget films, so it's kind of like a mixed bag there. But so my lowest tier, I have 3 tiers here. My lowest tier is Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar. And I don't know if Interstellar
gonna kill you.
is...
And I might too.
I'll throw a caveat out here. I'm not saying these are bad movies.
For those of you that are listening on Spotify, Tyke literally just ripped off his headset and got up and did a walk in his apartment. He's back now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just to make it clear, I am not saying these are bad movies. Christopher Nolan has never made a bad movie. But the reason I have these here, and I'm not going to go into full details here, is because I do feel like both of these movies are quite flawed. All right. They have a lot of great aspects, a lot of highs, but a lot of lows. All right.
Tig is losing his mind.
All right.
Tig is losing
I'm
his
not
shit.
Tig, but Anne Hathaway talking about how love is the strongest thing in the universe. That's cringy. That is corny as hell. All right. And it almost ruins the movie for me. I'm sorry. Special effects can't make up for the fact that Anne Hathaway has the worst dialogue in all of Christopher Nolan's movies. I'm sorry. Anyway, but I think we can all agree that Dark Knight Rises is not Nolan's strongest either. All right.
No, no, we can't all agree.
Oh my god.
Anyway, moving on to my second tier. Second tier is
Andrew, you might just want to speed through this before Tig has an aneurysm.
That's true. Second tier, I have these are good quality movies, but I couldn't quite put them in the top tier. Batman Begins, one of the best origin story superhero movies out there. The Prestige, really great film. I watched that the other day, and that was just excellent. Dunkirk, which I thought was an excellent war movie. Nolan kind of gives it his own little twist, which is always fun. And gosh, now the other ones I'm kind of missing. I think there's one more I wanted to put in here, but now I'm missing it because Ty completely distracted
Memento, probably, or do you have
Memento? Yeah, Memento. Yeah, Memento. Memento's kind of like on the cusp there because that's a really great movie too. And then the top tier for me, Oppenheimer's up there for now. I'll have to give it another look to kind of see if that's kind of where I have it. But Oppenheimer's in that top tier for me. Inception, and of course The Dark Knight. So that's my Nolan tier list.
Oh, right. I know what my 180 is next week. Good Lord.
I'm sorry.
Top 10 reasons Andrew Freeman doesn't know what he's talking about.
Wow.
Interstellar has great. Okay, I'll say this. Interstellar, one of the best technically made films, special effects wise, we're going to see. But I'm sorry that the story aspect of it just loses me every single time I watch it.
I have not laughed that hard in a while. Holy cow.
Anyway.
Wow. Dark Knight Rises. And then he hasn't even seen Insomnia. Okay, whatever. Or Tenet. Oh my god. Like Falling I get because like nobody's seen that one because that's old, but whatever. Jesus. Okay, anyways. I'm guessing my turn. Okay, so I not gonna lie to y'all, I wrote this like 2 hours before we started because again I've been moving and everything. But I decided I listen to Pink Floyd a lot. I've talked about it so much on here. Roger Waters' Dark Side of the Moon redoes coming out October 6th. I'll have a 180 for that one. But I started doing, I was like, because I couldn't think of anything for this week because I was so last minute. I was like, let me just do top 5 Pink Floyd songs. But then I decided, well, let's do a little twist. Everybody in this group here knows Pink Floyd. I know our families all,
Jordan,
Oh,
for the most part, I think no Pink Floyd. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's
Jordan. No, you're not allowed to take your shirt off. No, no.
it's like cutting in and out.
For those of you listening, Jordan is taking his shirt off.
I think he's just taking. I think he has an undershirt on.
He probably has a pink shirt on.
Oh, maybe he does.
Hold on. This is much easier.
Yeah, there you go.
I think my jersey's too tight, but I'm wearing a Pink Floyd Live in Pompeii t-shirt.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the whole point of what I was trying to do.
So what I'm trying to say is like we all know Pink Floyd here. And like if you know me, you already know I'm obsessed with Blink-182, so I don't have to talk about that. So what I want to do is 5 Pink Floyd songs that maybe you guys don't really listen to as much or don't know as well, or just our listeners don't know as well, except for my dad. So these are not really in any particular order except for number 1. That one's really important to me, but I start off with number 5, Goodbye Blue Sky off of The Wall. Everybody knows The Wall. I feel like the song kind of gets overlooked because you got Comfortably Numb, you got Another Brick in the Wall, you got everything, Run Like Hell, you got all these great songs from The Wall. But it's a pretty change of pace. It's an acoustic song with some instrumentation. David Gilmour's voice is always lovely. Sad song, it reflects on World War II. But I think people kind of forget it. Literally, at my last duty station, there was this kid with a The Wall sticker on his water bottle. And I was like, oh, do you like Pink Floyd? And he was like, I only listen to that one album, Sergeant, but I like it a lot. I was like, okay. And like, branch out a little, kid, but whatever. And I was like, what's your favorite song? And he was like, Run Like Hell. And what's yours? And I was like, that's a good pick. And I told him Goodbye Blue Sky, and he looked at me like I was making up song titles. Like, so like if even the guy who's like, I only like this album, doesn't know it, you should give it a listen if you haven't. You probably have if you listen to The Wall. Obviously, if you listen to The Wall, you have, but look out for it. It's a nice song. Number 4, kind of the same vein of acoustic, Grantchester Meadows off of Umaguma's Studio Side. Umaguma's Studio Side gets canned so bad by fans. I like it. I don't like it as much as other albums, but I still like it. I think it has a lot of good merit. At the time, the band was obsessed with like, okay, you write your own songs, you write your own songs, you write your own songs, I'll write my own songs, and then we'll just throw them on an album together, and that'll be the album. And they did that twice. I don't know why, when you have such great musicians, why you wouldn't want them to collaborate like they do on The Dark Side of the Moon. But they were obsessed with doing that for 2 albums, and that's Roger Waters' piece, acoustic. It's like 7 minutes long, but I've never been to the real Grantchester Meadows, but like listening to that song transports me to the location. Like I feel like I've been there. So very pretty song. If you haven't heard it, give it a listen. Give the rest of the album a listen. Kind of weird, but I dig it. Number 3, What's the Deal off of Obscured by Clouds, which was a soundtrack to a French movie. Really, you should just listen to the whole album. Jordan pointed out his Live at Pompeii shirt. If you ever watch that movie, Roger Waters goes on a whole rant about why that album's production got screwed. And it's kind of funny because he's trying to defend the album so hard because at the time, and it did, like there was some bad thing in the production that gave it like a really horrid like noise, I think, if you tried listening to like one of the first pressings. So but nowadays I think a lot of Pink Floyd fans really dig it. It is a very nice album. It's quick. It's really good. And What's the Deal is, excuse me, one of my favorite songs on the album. So is Free For, Childhood's End, some really good stuff. Rick Wright has a song about one night stand, as well as on Adam Heart Mother. He was obsessed with writing about one night stands. I don't know. Poor Rick Wright, I guess. I have no idea. Number 2,
life, I guess.
Yeah. Number 2, I was between a few songs off of like The Division Bell. I think I was gonna do, I can't remember. I was between another song on one of the other albums. I chose Two Suns in the Sunset off of The Final Cut. Again, this is after The Wall. It's basically Roger Waters' solo album with Pink Floyd members involved. I like The Final Cut a lot. I like all their albums except for Momentary Lapse of Reason. That album can go into the graveyard. But I think the song, I don't know, this song just lives rent free in my head. It's really depressing. It's about nuclear holocaust. So I don't know why, but like, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I like the song a lot. Two Suns in the Sunset is because, you know, the mushroom clouds in the sky. So that's in the fireball. So trivia note, the drummer on the song is Andy Newmark. In Nick Mason fashion, everything after The Wall, if the song was too hard for him to play, he was like, give it to somebody else. And he does that quite a bit. I'm just saying, like, he gives up pretty easily. He's like, nah, let somebody else take care of it. So I like that one. I like The Final Cut. You should listen to it as well. And then finally, this song is really important to me. This is like my number 1 is Fearless off of Metal. Metal has a lot of good memories for me. That song has a lot of good memories for me. I just remember a picnic with my dad. Like, it just brings like summer with him back. And then also the whole album as a whole, he used to play for me as a lullaby album, which is a terrible choice. Like, One of These Days is on that album. That's a horrible lullaby song for a kid. I couldn't get enough of it though. I loved it. That and Jimmy World's Bleed American put me to bed at night. I don't know, man. I'm weird.
That explains a lot.
It explains a lot. Fearless is a very beautiful song. Again, kind of the same things, like gorgeous, like David Gilmour's voice is very nice, very lovely guitars. And then I also just have some other nostalgic memories for me that like come from that song. So if you haven't heard any of those songs, give them a listen. Give a listen to all those albums that they're from. And it's kind of a nice way to expand your Pink Floyd, just listening. So.
Wish You Were Here is always going to be one of my favorites.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Cause like Wish You Were Here is honestly my favorite Pink Floyd album. I think Animals is up there. It's like a close second. Dark Side obviously is always going to be up there. So it's just one of those things where it's like, you've heard all those, you've heard The Wall. You've probably heard Echoes off of Metal. So if you haven't, expanded anything, those are some songs that are my favorites, but I like it all.
Maybe attempt listening to one of these albums while watching Spider-Man 3. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Give it a shot. Let us know
Give
what
it a
happens.
shot. Why not? See what happens.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, Nick, you want to close things out here?
Yes, I will. All right. So for my 180 this week, I wanted to talk MLB trade deadline, and more importantly, who the Cubs could target to help their team, and what they could offer other teams. So I got 4 potential targets. Yeah. I wrote all this before everything happened today, but I think everybody I mentioned here is still like with the team that they're currently anyway, whatever. So potential target number 1, St. Louis. This is my offer. You give us Paul Goldschmidt, and we'll send you enough fireworks for 1 5-minute show so that you can give the citizens of St. Louis at least one moment where anything exciting is happening in St. Louis.
St. Louis is boring. St.
Louis is boring, and Lord knows their baseball and hockey teams aren't helping.
St. Louis also smells.
St. Louis smells. Maybe we'll throw in some air fresheners too.
It was the only place I almost got in a car accident on my move out here was in St. Louis. Granted, it was my cat's fault. He crawled in my footwell while I was driving and made me freak out.
He just really wanted to get the hell out of St. Louis.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Trade target number 2 is Oakland. All right. Now, they're tough since they're pretty committed to the tank. So I got the perfect solution. We'll give them Trey Mancini. He'll just be the perfect tank commander. We'll hand him. And in return, we request that the Oakland A's provide the 4-Star podcast a suite at the Bellagio for the first Cubs A's series in Las Vegas.
I'm down.
I would have also thrown in like a gambling bankroll, but even a low stakes bankroll would be about double what you're paying your players. So I didn't want to get greedy. Trade target number 3.
I'd burn through it anyways.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would too.
On blackjack and hookers. Futurama reference.
No, that's just Jordan Saturday Night.
Oh God.
All right, trade target number 3 is Colorado. You give us Ryan McMahon, and in return, we'll also take in 40,000 of Denver's most annoying stoners. We know you don't want to deal with them any more than we do, but we'll just ship them off to Naperville. It's going to be impossible to make that suburb any more annoying than it already is, so they're just going to fit right in.
Wait. I thought Naperville was Chicago.
Fuck off, Jordan. It's late enough in the show. It's late. I could drop an F-bomb.
There's our unscripted one.
And that's our one. It's a PG-13 show. That's the one F-bomb we're allowed.
That's the one.
And finally, we're gonna go to the South Side here with the White Sox. You guys give us back Dylan Cease, and in return, we will let you claim that you are the top baseball franchise in Chicago for the next 6 months. We'll even make sure ESPN only mentions the 2005 World Series when they're talking about Chicago titles during that time. Cease is an outstanding pitcher, but this deal gives you the one thing that you'll never have otherwise: relevancy. And that's what I think Jed should do for the deadline. Hire me.
Man, Nick just dropped the mic.
I'm all in. Yeah, I'm all in, Nick. I'm ready for it. Yeah, especially that Bellagio suite.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If we get nothing else, I'm happy with that.
Amen.
Oh boy. Yeah, that devolved quickly. That devolved very quickly. Oh man. All right. So something to note, our episodes cannot go past an hour. Otherwise we just get slap happy and totally off the rails. But hey, that's what's the most fun. So anyway, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Once again, I'm Jordan DuPont, joined by Nick DeCola at NDeCola21 on Twitter, Tag Mullen at TMMullen007, and Andrew Freeman at AJFreeman25. You can check out the show at 4StarPodCHI and 4StarPodCHI.com. Eventually, Tig will start writing blog posts that will be up there, as well as our latest episodes.
First one's going to be why Interstellar is the greatest movie ever.
Fair. And as always, you can check out Andrew's other work, the Bear Report at 247sports.com and the Picks for Polls podcast. Make sure you join us again next week, where we'll be back ranting and raving about the Cubs, Hawks, Bulls, and Bears again. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your week.